The alarm screamed through every corridor of the new dawn. Captain Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge, watching his crew work desperately at their stations. Nothing was working. The ship was dying and everyone aboard knew it. How long? Jinwoo asked quietly. Engineer Hyunwoo Kang looked up from his console. His young face was pale and tired. He had not slept in 2 days. 70 hours, Captain. Maybe less. The quantum drive is completely dead. Life support is failing section by section. Jinwoo closed his eyes for a moment. 70 hours. Less than 3 days before 50,000 people would run out of air. 50,000 colonists who had left Earth to build a new future. Now they would die in the cold darkness of space in a region called the Vorlax Nebula. The distress signal? Jinwoo asked. Still broadcasting, said the communications officer. But sir, the nearest human ship is 6 months away. No one can reach us in time. Jinwoo nodded slowly. He had known this, but hearing it again made his chest feel heavy. 6 months. They had 70 hours. Down in the medical bay, Dr. Minji Choi moved between beds filled with sick colonists. The failing life support meant less oxygen throughout the ship. The children were suffering first. Their small bodies could not handle the thin air as well as adults. Doctor, this one is getting worse, a nurse called out. Minji hurried over. A little girl lay on the bed, her lips slightly blue. Her name was Yuna Lee, only 7 years old. Her parents stood nearby, holding each other and crying quietly. Yuna, sweetie, stay with me, Minji said gently. She adjusted the oxygen mask on the child's face. But they were running out of oxygen, too. Soon the masks would not help anyone. Yuna's eyes opened slightly. Am I going to die? She whispered. Minji felt tears burn her eyes, but she smiled. No, honey. We're going to be okay. You just rest now. But Minji did not know if she was telling the truth. All around her, more people were collapsing. The air was getting thinner. The cold was creeping into the ship as heating systems failed. She had become a doctor to save lives, but now she could only watch people slowly suffocate. Back on the bridge, Hyunwoo was trying everything he could think of. He was the one who had designed the quantum drive, back when he was fresh out of the academy. Everyone had said he was a genius. Now his genius creation was killing everyone. We could try a manual restart, Hyunwoo said. If I go into the drive chamber with a team, maybe we can bypass the failed systems. Jinwoo shook his head. You told me yourself that would likely cause an explosion. We would destroy the whole ship instantly. But if we do nothing, we die slowly, Hyunwoo said. His voice cracked with frustration. At least this way there is a small chance. A 5% chance, Jinwoo said. Against a 95% chance of killing everyone immediately. I cannot take that risk. Hyunwoo slumped in his chair. He knew the captain was right, but doing nothing felt worse than dying quickly. Hours passed. The situation grew worse. More people collapsed. The temperature inside the ship dropped below freezing in some sections. Families huddled together for warmth. Parents held their children tight, trying to comfort them even though they were terrified themselves. Jinwoo walked through the corridors, visiting different sections of the ship. He wanted his people to see him, to know their captain had not given up, but in his heart he felt hopeless. He saw mothers crying over sick babies. He saw old people struggling to breathe. He saw engineers still working at broken systems, trying to find miracles that did not exist. In one corridor, he found a group of children sitting in a circle. They were drawing pictures on old paper using colored pencils. Despite everything, they were still being children. It broke his heart. One little girl looked up at him. It was Yuna out of the medical bay for a short time. Her oxygen mask hung around her neck. Captain, are we going to be okay? She asked. Jinwoo knelt down beside her. He wanted to lie to give her hope, but he had always believed in honesty. I don't know, Yuna, he said softly, but I promise I'm doing everything I can. Yuna showed him her drawing. It was a picture of a spaceship under stars. Stick figures smiled from the windows. This is us when we get to the new planet, Yuna said. We will have a house and a garden. My mommy says I can have a pet. Jinwoo smiled, even though his heart was breaking. That sounds wonderful. What kind of pet? I don't know yet, Yuna said. Maybe something we find on the new world. Something nobody on Earth has ever seen. That would be special, Jinwoo said. He stood up and gently touched her head. You go back to the doctor now, okay? Rest and stay strong. Yuna nodded and walked away slowly, tired from just that small effort. Jinwoo returned to the bridge. 50 hours left now. He sat in his captain's chair and stared at the empty view screen. Space looked so peaceful out there. Beautiful nebula clouds glowed in purple and blue. Stars shined like diamonds. It all looked so calm, but it was a cold and deadly place that did not care if humans lived or died. "Captain," the sensor officer suddenly shouted. "I have something on the long-range sensors." Jinwoo sat up straight. "What is it?" "A ship, sir. Unknown design. Not in our database. It is approaching our position." Everyone on the bridge went silent. An alien ship? Humanity had only been traveling between stars for a few years. They had never met another intelligent species before. All the old questions suddenly became real. Were there others out there? Were they friendly? Were they dangerous? "How long until they reach us?" Jinwoo asked. 2 hours at their current speed, sir. "Can we hail them?" "I am trying, sir. I do not know if our communications will work with their systems." Jinwoo stood up and walked to the view screen. He could see a small dot in the distance, growing slowly larger. An alien ship. Coming toward them. "Sir, what if they are hostile?" the security officer asked. "We have no weapons. We cannot fight. We can barely move." "Then we die a little sooner than planned," Jinwoo said quietly. "But maybe, just maybe, they are not hostile. Maybe they will help us." "Why would they help us?" the officer asked. "They do not know us." "I don't know," Jinwoo said. "But right now they are our only hope." The next 2 hours felt like days. Everyone who could move gathered near view screens throughout the ship, watching the alien vessel approach. It was a strange design, smooth and organic looking, unlike the angular human ships. It glowed slightly with a soft blue light. The communications officer finally got a signal. Strange sounds came through the speakers, like musical tones and clicks. Not human language, but definitely communication. "They are scanning us," the sensor officer reported. "Deep scans of our ship, our systems, our life support." "Let them," Jinwoo said. "They need to understand our situation." The alien ship came closer and then stopped, floating in space about 1 kilometer away. It was much smaller than the New Dawn, but it looked well-maintained and powerful. Then the communication system beeped. A voice came through, speaking in broken but understandable English. "Human vessel," the alien voice said. It sounded kind, almost musical. "We see you are in danger. We see your people are dying. We are the Velhari. We will help you if you permit us." Jinwoo felt something he had not felt in days. Hope. Real, genuine hope. His hands were shaking. "This is Captain Jinwoo Park of Earthship New Dawn," he said. "Yes, please. We need help. We are dying. We have children aboard. Please, if you can do anything." There was a pause. Then the voice spoke again. "We understand. We are coming to your ship now. Please open your docking port. We will bring supplies and help repair your vessel. Do not be afraid. Life should not have a price. We help because it is right." Jinwoo looked around at his bridge crew. Several were crying with relief. Hyunwoo had his head in his hands, his shoulders shaking. "Open the docking port," Jinwoo ordered. "And somebody go wake up everyone who is sleeping. Tell them we are going to live. Tell them we are not alone in the universe anymore. Tell them someone cares." The alien ship moved gracefully toward them. Through the view screen, Jinwoo could see lights glowing inside it. Somewhere in that vessel were beings who had chosen to stop and help strangers, beings who could have passed by and left humanity to die in the darkness. Jinwoo made a silent promise to himself right then. If humanity survived this, he would make sure they never forgot what happened here, never forgot who helped them when no one else could, never forgot this mercy shown by strangers in the cold void of space. The Velhari ship docked with a gentle thud. The real work was about to begin. The airlock opened with a hiss. Captain Jinwoo Park stood waiting with Hyunwoo and Dr. Minji, watching as the first alien beings humanity had ever met stepped onto their ship. The Velhari were smaller than humans, standing maybe 4 feet tall. They had smooth skin that shimmered with soft colors like pearl. Their eyes were large and dark, showing kindness and intelligence. They moved on 4 legs but had 2 arms with delicate fingers. To Jinwoo, they looked a bit like insects mixed with something gentle and beautiful. They wore simple clothing and carried equipment that glowed with strange technology. The lead Velhari stepped forward. A device on its chest flickered, and then it spoke in English. "I'm Captain Thielen of the Gentle Passage," the alien said. The translator made the voice sound warm and musical. "We are traders and explorers. We heard your distress call and came as quickly as we could. Jinwoo felt relief flood through him. I am Captain Jinwoo Park. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. We were dying. We thought no one would reach us in time. Captain Thalen tilted his head in what might have been a nod. We see you need many things. Atmosphere processors, medical supplies, parts for your drive system. We have some of these things on our ship. We will share them with you. We can pay you, Jinwoo said quickly. We have credits, resources, precious metals from Earth, whatever you need. Captain Thalen made a soft sound, almost like a song. Life should not have a price. We help because it is right. We can discuss payment later if you wish, but for now we must work quickly. Your people are suffering. Within minutes, the Velhari were moving throughout the new dawn. They brought tanks of breathable atmosphere and connected them to the life support systems. The air started getting better almost immediately. People throughout the ship gasped and cried with relief as they could breathe normally again. A young Velhari engineer named Seraph worked with Hyunwoo on the quantum drive. Seraph was smaller than the others and moved very quickly, examining everything with curious interest. Your design is interesting, Seraph said through the translator. Very bold, very powerful. But you pushed it too hard, yes? It burned out. Hyunwoo nodded, feeling ashamed. I designed it. I thought I had accounted for everything, but I was wrong. My mistake is killing everyone aboard. Seraph touched Hyunwoo's hand gently with soft fingers. Do not blame yourself. All engineers make mistakes. The important thing is we learn and we fix them. Come, I will show you how we can repair this. They worked together for hours. Seraph showed Hyunwoo techniques the Velhari had developed over centuries of space travel. The young alien engineer was patient and kind, never making Hyunwoo feel stupid for his errors. Instead, Seraph treated him like an equal, sharing knowledge freely. In the medical bay, Dr. Minji worked with Velhari medics. They brought medicines that worked on human biology, having quickly analyzed the sick colonists. Within hours, children who had been dying were sitting up and talking. Parents cried with joy and hugged the small alien medics, who seemed pleased but also a bit surprised by all the emotion. Minji watched as a Velhari medic worked on little Yuna. The alien's movements were gentle and careful. Yuna was scared at first, seeing a being so different from anything she had known. But the medic hummed a soft melody, something soothing and peaceful. Yuna relaxed and even smiled. Is she going to be okay? Yuna's mother asked, holding her daughter's hand. She will be fine now, the Velhari medic said. Her body was very stressed, but she is strong. She will recover fully. Yuna's mother started crying and reached out to hug the alien medic. The Velhari seemed startled but allowed the embrace, patting the woman's back awkwardly. Thank you, Yuna's mother sobbed. Thank you for saving my baby. I thought I was going to lose her. Thank you so much. The Velhari medic made a gentle sound. It is what we do. We are glad to help. Days passed. The Velhari worked without stopping. They slept in short shifts and then returned to work. Captain Thalen explained that their species believed strongly in helping others. It was part of their culture, their religion, their whole way of life. We are a small species, Thalen told Jinwoo as they sat together in the captain's quarters. Only 3 billion of us exist, spread across 2 star systems. We are not powerful. We do not have great weapons or vast fleets, but we have kindness. We have knowledge. We share these things freely. The galaxy must love your people, Jinwoo said. Thalen made a sound that might have been a laugh. Most species ignore us. We are too small to matter in galactic politics. Some species think we are foolish for helping others without demanding payment, but we do not help for rewards. We help because it is right, because every life has value. Jinwoo felt deep respect for these beings. I wish humans had your wisdom. You are young as a spacefaring species, Thalen said. You will learn. You will find your own path among the stars. On the 4th day, Hyunwoo and Seraph finally got the quantum drive working again. When the systems powered up successfully, both engineers cheered. Hyunwoo picked up Seraph in excitement, hugging the small alien. Seraph chirped with surprise but seemed happy. We did it, Hyunwoo shouted. We actually did it. You did most of it, Seraph said modestly. I just showed you a few tricks. You are very clever for such a young species. The whole ship celebrated that night. The Velhari joined the humans for a meal in the main cafeteria. It was strange and wonderful, 2 species sitting together, sharing food and stories. The Velhari could not eat human food, but they brought their own and everyone shared the space together. Children ran around playing, including Yuna, who was fully recovered. She was fascinated by the Velhari and kept asking them questions. Seraph seemed to enjoy talking with the curious little girl. "Do you have children?" Yuna asked Seraph. "Not yet," Seraph said. "I am still young by my people's standards. Perhaps someday." "When I grow up, I want to be an explorer like you," Yuna said. "I want to travel to different worlds and meet new people and help them." Seraph made a pleased sound. "That is a good dream. Hold on to it. The galaxy needs more people who want to help others." Yuna pulled out a piece of paper and some colored pencils. She drew quickly, her tongue sticking out in concentration. After a few minutes, she showed Seraph the picture. It showed a human and a Velhari holding hands, standing under a sky full of stars. Around them were hearts and flowers and smiling suns. "This is us," Yuna said. "Friends forever." Seraph took the drawing carefully. The alien was quiet for a moment, and Jinwoo could not tell what emotion the translator was picking up. Finally, Seraph spoke softly. "Thank you, little one. I will keep this. I will treasure it always." The next day, the new dawn was ready to continue its journey. The Velhari had given them everything they needed. More than that, they had given them hope and friendship. Captain Thalen and Jinwoo stood together at the airlock, preparing to say goodbye. "How can we repay you?" Jinwoo asked. "You saved 50,000 lives. You gave us supplies worth millions. You worked for days without asking for anything. Please tell us what you want." Thalen was quiet for a moment. "If you truly wish to repay us, then remember this moment. Remember that someone helped you when you were in need, and perhaps someday when you meet someone else who needs help, you will do the same. That is all we ask. That kindness spreads through the galaxy like light through darkness." Jinwoo felt tears in his eyes. He reached out and gently took Thalen's small hand in his. "I promise you, on my honor as a human and as a captain, we will never forget what you did for us. Never. I will make sure every person on this ship knows your names. I will make sure Earth knows. I will make sure that if your people ever need anything, ever face any danger, humanity will come. We will remember." Thalen made a soft, pleased sound. "You are very emotional, you humans. But I think this is a good thing. The galaxy could use more emotion, more caring. Perhaps you will teach us something too." The Velhari crew prepared to leave. Each one was hugged by dozens of humans. Children gave them drawings and small gifts. Adults shook their hands and thanked them over and over. Seraph still carried Yuna's drawing, holding it carefully. As the gentle passage disconnected from the new dawn, both ships' crews stood at windows, waving to each other. The Velhari ship slowly moved away, its soft blue glow fading into the distance. Jinwoo stood on the bridge watching them go. Hyunwoo stood beside him, and Minji had come up from the medical bay. All three were quiet, thinking about what had just happened. "Sir," Hyunwoo said finally, "I am going to make sure this is recorded properly. Every detail. What they did for us, what they gave us, who they were. This needs to be in the official records." "Good," Jinwoo said. "Make it detailed. Make it permanent. 50 years from now, 100 years from now, humans should know what happened here. They should know about the Velhari. They were so kind," Minji said softly. "They had so little compared to us, but they shared everything. They did not have to stop. They could have passed by and we never would have known, but they chose to help. That is what makes them special," Jinwoo said, "and that is why we will never forget them." The new dawn continued its journey toward its new home. The colonists were alive because of the Velhari. The ship flew on through the stars, carrying 50,000 people and one promise: humanity would remember. 50 years had passed since the Velhari saved the new dawn. The universe had changed. Humanity had changed most of all. From that single colony ship, humanity had exploded across the stars. 200 colonies now existed on different worlds. Hundreds of ships traveled between them, carrying people and goods and dreams. Humans had become known throughout the galaxy as a species that worked hard, learned fast, and never gave up. But humans were known for something else too. They remembered. Every human child learned the story of the Velhari in school. It was taught alongside history and mathematics and science. Every year on the anniversary of the rescue, humans across all colonies stopped work for a moment of silence. They called it Velhari Day. It was the most important holiday in human space. Admiral Sora Han stood on the bridge of the flagship Independence, looking at reports from the outer colonies. She was 52 years old now, strong and respected. But once she had been a little girl named Sora, dying on the New Dawn. The Velhari had saved her life. She still remembered that day. The aliens working to help them. The kindness in their large dark eyes. The moment when she could breathe again without pain. She had grown up wanting to protect others the way the Velhari had protected her. Now she commanded Earth's defense fleet, one of the most powerful military forces in known space. Her console beeped. A priority message from Earth. Admiral Han, please come to the command center immediately, the message said. Code red. This concerns the Velhari. Sora felt her heart jump. She moved quickly, almost running. The Velhari. What had happened? In the command center, Ambassador Taejin Kim was already there. He was 60 years old, head of all human diplomatic efforts. His face looked worried. What is it? Sora asked. Are the Velhari okay? Taejin pulled up a holographic display. It showed 2 star systems, the Velhari homeworlds. Around them, hundreds of red dots appeared. Ships, military ships. This is the Kralith Dominion fleet, Taejin said quietly. They arrived in Velhari space 3 days ago. They gave the Velhari 30 days to surrender their worlds and become servants of the Dominion. If they refuse, the Kralith will take the worlds by force and kill anyone who resists. Sora felt cold anger flood through her body. The Kralith want to enslave the Velhari? Yes, Taejin said. The Dominion already controls 40 different species. They are one of the largest empires in this part of the galaxy. They want the Velhari worlds because of their location and resources. What did the Galactic Council say? Sora demanded. Taejin's face darkened. The Council voted not to interfere. They say it is a territorial dispute between the Kralith and the Velhari. They claim they cannot take sides. That is garbage, Sora said, her voice hard. The Council is afraid of the Kralith, so they hide behind rules and words. They will let an entire species be enslaved because it is easier than fighting. Yes, Taejin agreed. The Velhari sent messages asking for help. No one answered. Everyone knows the Kralith are too powerful to fight. The Velhari have no military. They never built weapons. They are helpless. Sora looked at the display showing the Velhari homeworlds. 3 billion peaceful beings who had never hurt anyone, who had spent centuries helping others. Now they faced slavery or death, and the galaxy did not care. How long until the deadline? Sora asked. 22 days, Taejin said. Then we have 22 days to do something, Sora said. Taejin looked at her carefully. Admiral, I know what you are thinking. But the Kralith Dominion has over 2,000 warships. We cannot fight them alone. Maybe not, Sora said. But we are going to try. The Velhari saved my life. They saved 50,000 human lives when they had no reason to help us. Now they need us, and we will not abandon them. The government will need to vote on this, Taejin said. This could mean war. Then call the vote, Sora said. Call it right now. But I already know what humans will choose. We do not forget our friends. 6 hours later, the United Earth Assembly gathered. Every colony sent representatives. The vote was simple. Should humanity intervene to save the Velhari? Ambassador Taejin stood before them and explained the situation. He showed the images of Kralith warships surrounding the Velhari worlds. He explained the deadline, the threat, the danger. Then he said something that made the entire assembly go quiet. 50 years ago, when we were dying in space, one species chose mercy over profit. One species risked their limited resources to save 50,000 strangers. They asked for nothing in return. They just said that life should not have a price. Today we must answer a simple question. Do we mean it when we say we remember? Do we mean it when we teach our children about Velhari Day? Or are those just empty words? The vote was called. Every colony voted yes. Every single representative voted to help the Velhari. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would go to war if necessary to protect the species that had saved them. Within hours, the mobilization began. It was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Every human colony activated their defense fleets. Military ships that had been on patrol or in dock were called to gather. Private companies donated supplies worth trillions of credits. Veterans who had retired volunteered to return to service. The call went out across human space. The Velhari need us. We are going, millions responded. Young people enlisted in the military. Engineers worked around the clock to prepare ships. Scientists developed new weapons and shields. Everyone wanted to help. Everyone remembered. Dr. Yuna Lee was 57 years old now. She had become a famous xenoanthropologist. someone who studied alien cultures. She had never forgotten Seraph, the kind Velhari engineer who had talked with her when she was a scared little girl. She still had the memory of giving Seraph that drawing. When she heard the news, Yuna went immediately to the military headquarters. She found Admiral Sora Han preparing the fleet. "Admiral, I want to come with you," Yuna said. Sora looked at her old friend. They had both been children on the New Dawn. "Yuna, this will be dangerous. This will be war." "I know," Yuna said, "but the Velhari saved us. They saved me specifically. I was dying and they gave me medicine and kindness. I cannot sit on Earth while they face slavery. Please let me come. I can help with communications, with understanding their culture. I can be useful." Sora nodded slowly. "All right. You can come on the flagship, but you follow orders, understand?" "Yes, Admiral," Yuna said. Old engineer Hyunwoo Kang, now 79, came out of retirement. He could not fight anymore, but he could design better shields and weapons. He worked with young engineers, teaching them everything he knew. He told them about Seraph, about how the Velhari had patiently showed him how to fix the quantum drive. "They did not have to help us," Hyunwoo said. "They could have let us die. But they chose kindness. Now we choose loyalty. We will build the best ships, the best weapons, the best defenses we can. We will give our fleet every advantage. The Velhari saved us with their kindness. We will save them with our strength." 840 warships gathered, 12 full defense fleets from different colonies. They were called names like Gentle Passage Memorial, Thielen's Honor, Seraph's Gift. Each ship had been painted with a symbol, a human hand holding a Velhari hand, copied from Yuna's childhood drawing. The fleet was commanded by Admiral Sora Han from the flagship Independence. With her was Ambassador Taejin, Dr. Yuna Lee, and thousands of humans who had volunteered for this mission. As the fleet prepared to leave, a message was broadcast across all human worlds. Admiral Sora spoke. 50 years ago, the Velhari showed us what real kindness looks like. They taught us that life has value, that mercy matters, that strangers can become friends. We learned that lesson. We will never forget it. Today we go to defend our friends. We go to show the galaxy that humanity honors its debts. We go to prove that kindness is not weakness. And we go to make sure that anyone who threatens those who helped us will face consequences they cannot imagine. This is who we are. This is what we do. We are humanity. We remember our friends. And we protect them no matter what. The message was heard by millions of humans. It was also heard across the galaxy by other species. Many laughed. Humans were still young, still small compared to empires like the Kralith. What could 800 ships do against 2,000? The Velhari heard the message too. On their home worlds, they watched in disbelief as human ships began arriving in their space. They barely remembered the New Dawn incident from 50 years ago. It had been one of dozens of rescues they had performed over the centuries. They had not expected anyone to remember. They certainly had not expected anyone to come help them. Captain Thalen, now very old, stood in the council chamber on the Velhari homeworld. He watched the displays showing human ships taking up defensive positions around their planets. "They came," Thalen whispered. "The humans came. Why?" Another Velhari council member asked. "We saved one ship 50 years ago. Why would they risk war for us?" Thalen remembered a human captain named Jinwoo who had made a promise. He remembered the tears in human eyes when they said goodbye. He remembered a little girl giving his crew member a drawing. "Because humans remember," Thelen said softly. "Because they mean what they say. Because they understand loyalty in a way most species do not." The human fleet finished taking positions. They were outnumbered more than 2 to 1. The Kralith fleet moved toward the Velhari homeworlds like a wall of death. 2,000 warships, each one massive and covered in weapons. They had conquered 40 species before. They had never been defeated. They expected this to be easy. Admiral Sora Han watched them approach on the tactical display. Her 840 ships were positioned in defensive formations around both Velhari planets. Every ship was ready. Every crew member knew what was at stake. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her tactical officer said. Sora nodded. She opened a channel to the entire human fleet. Her voice went to every ship, every crew member. "This is Admiral Han. You all know why we are here. 50 years ago, the Velhari saved 50,000 human lives. They asked for nothing. They just helped because it was right. Today we repay that debt. Today we show the galaxy what humanity stands for. We protect our friends. We honor our promises, and we do not let bullies win. All ships, battle formations. Let us make the Velhari proud. Let us make Earth proud. Let us show them what humans can do. Thousands of voices answered back. For the Velhari. For Earth. For honor. The Kralith commander sent one final message. His voice was mocking and cruel. Foolish humans, you throw away your lives for nothing. After we destroy your fleet, we will take your colonies too. You should have stayed home, Sora smiled coldly. We will see about that. The battle began. The Kralith fleet charged forward, firing massive energy weapons that could destroy ships in single hits. They expected the humans to break and run. They expected fear. But humans had learned a lot in 50 years. They had studied every battle, every tactic, every technology they could find, and they had prepared specifically for this fight. The human ships moved in perfect coordination, like they were all controlled by one mind. They scattered the moment the Kralith fired, making the big weapons miss. Then they came back together in new formations, confusing the enemy. Human weapons were smaller but faster. Missiles that could think for themselves. Energy beams that could adjust their frequency. Fighters that moved so quickly they seemed to teleport. Every human ship had the symbol painted on it. A human hand holding a Velhari hand. They fought with purpose, with passion, with determination. On the Independence, Sora commanded the battle like a chess master. She had spent years studying the Kralith tactics. She knew how they thought. She knew their weaknesses. Group 3 hit their right flank. Group 5 protect the hospital ships. Group 7 target their command vessels. Sora ordered rapidly. Her officers worked their stations with absolute focus. This was not just a battle. This was personal. Many of them had been saved by the Velhari, or knew someone who had been saved or had grown up celebrating Velhari Day. Dr. Yuna Lee stood in the observation deck, watching the battle. She should have been afraid. Ships were exploding. People were dying. But all she could think about was a small Velhari engineer named Seraph, who had been kind to a scared little girl. She whispered quietly, "We are coming, Seraph. We are here." Down on the Velhari homeworld, millions of Velhari watched the battle in their skies. They saw human ships fighting and dying to protect them. They saw the symbols on the human hulls. They finally understood what they had created 50 years ago when they chose to help strangers. Old Captain Thalen stood outside, looking up at the lights in the sky. Each light was a battle, a sacrifice, a human life risked for his people. Tears ran down his face. "They remember," he said to the other Velhari around him. "They really remember." The battle raged for 14 hours. The Kralith had numbers, but humans had something else. They had motivation. They had practiced. They had planned for exactly this fight. Human pilots flew their fighters into impossible situations and came out alive. Engineers kept damaged ships fighting long after they should have failed. Medical teams worked without rest to save the wounded. Everyone gave everything they had. The Kralith started to realize they were not fighting a normal battle. These humans were not fighting for territory or resources. They were fighting for something deeper. They were fighting for honor, for loyalty, for love of their friends. A group of Kralith ships broke through the human defensive line and headed for the Velhari homeworld. They were going to bomb the planet to force a surrender. Admiral Sora saw it happen. 20 Kralith warships racing toward the defenseless planet below. She had to choose. Keep fighting the main battle or protect the Velhari directly. There was no choice at all. "All available ships, follow me." "We stop them here," Sora ordered. 80 human ships broke formation and intercepted the Kralith attack group. They were outnumbered 4-1, but they did not hesitate. They crashed into the Kralith formation with absolute fury. The Independence took hit after hit. Shields failed. Hull breaches opened. People died, but Sora kept her ship between the enemy and the Velhari world. She would not let a single Kralith weapon touch the planet. "Hull breach on deck 7, someone shouted. "Shields at 10%, another voice called. "I do not care," Sora said coldly. "All weapons, fire everything we have." We do not let them pass. The Independence and her sister ships fought like demons. They took damage that should have destroyed them, but kept fighting. Human crews worked miracles, keeping weapons firing, keeping engines running, keeping their ships in the fight. One by one, the Kralith attack ships were destroyed or disabled. The planet was safe, but the cost was high. 20 human ships were gone. Thousands of crew members were dead or wounded. In the main battle, the Kralith fleet was starting to break. They had never faced an enemy like this. Every time they destroyed a human ship, 5 more took its place. Every tactic they tried, humans had a counter. They were losing. The Kralith commander could not believe it. His superior fleet was being beaten by a smaller force. It was impossible. But it was happening. He tried to retreat, to pull back and regroup. But the human fleet pursued. They had not come here to fight a fair battle. They had come here to win, to make sure the Kralith could never threaten the Velhari again. Do not let them escape, Sora ordered. We end this now. Completely. The human fleet pressed the attack with absolute determination. Kralith ships tried to run, but human vessels were faster. One by one, the Kralith warships were destroyed or surrendered. Finally, after 14 hours of fighting, it was over. The Kralith fleet was gone. 800 ships destroyed, 700 more damaged and surrendered. Only 300 managed to escape, running back to Dominion space. The human fleet had won. Against a superior force, against one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, humanity had won. But the cost was real. 112 human ships were destroyed. Thousands of crew members had died. Many more were wounded. The surviving ships were damaged, some barely able to move, yet not a single Velhari had been hurt. Not one Velhari ship damaged, not one Velhari planet touched by enemy fire. Admiral Sora sat in her command chair exhausted. Her ship was barely functioning. Half her crew was in medical bay. But they had done it. They had saved the Velhari. She opened a channel to the Velhari homeworld. Her voice was tired but proud. This is Admiral Sora Han of Earth. The Kralith fleet has been defeated. Your worlds are safe. You are free. We kept our promise. Down on the planet, Velhari people cheered and cried. They had been saved. These strange humans who remembered one rescue from 50 years ago had come across the stars to save them. Old Captain Thalen requested permission to come aboard the Independence. When his small shuttle arrived, he was met by Admiral Sora herself. The Admiral was wounded, her uniform torn and burned. But she stood straight and proud. Thalen looked at her with his large, dark eyes full of emotion. Why? He asked simply. Why did you do this? Why did you risk so much for us? Sora smiled, thinking of being a little girl on the new dawn, thinking of kind aliens who saved her life. Because you taught us something important, Sora said. You taught us that kindness matters, that mercy has value, that helping others is never wrong. We learned that lesson. And today we showed you that we meant it when we said we would never forget. Humanity honors its debts, Captain Thalen. Always. Thalen reached up and took Sora's hand in his small one. Then we are not just allies, he said softly. We are family. Yes, Sora agreed. We are family. A message went out from the battlefield to all human colonies, to Earth, to everywhere humans lived. It said simply, we won. The Velhari are safe. We kept our promise. Across human space, billions celebrated. People cried with joy. They had proven something to the galaxy and to themselves. They had shown that humanity was a species that remembered, that honored its word, that protected its friends no matter the cost. But the story was not over. The galaxy had been watching. Dozens of species had seen what happened. They had seen humans fight against impossible odds for one reason: loyalty to those who had helped them. Every species that the Kralith had enslaved watched and learned. If humans would fight like that for friends, what did that mean? What could it mean for them? The Kralith Dominion had lost more than a fleet that day. They had lost their reputation as unbeatable. They had lost the fear that kept their empire together. 6 months after the battle, the galaxy looked very different. The Kralith Dominion was falling apart. 23 species that they had enslaved for decades rose in rebellion. They had seen what humanity did for the Velhari. They realized that empires built on fear could be defeated. They found courage they did not know they had. Humanity helped them all. Human fleets went to protect the rebelling species. Human engineers helped them rebuild. Human diplomats helped them form new governments. Humans asked for nothing in return except peace and friendship. The Galactic Council, which had refused to help the Velhari, tried to take control of the situation. They claimed authority over the freed species. Ambassador Taejin Kim stood before them and said something that shocked everyone. The council failed. You had a chance to help a peaceful species facing slavery, and you did nothing. You hid behind rules and fear. You are not fit to lead. Humanity and our allies will form a new alliance based on mutual aid and respect. Anyone who wants to join us is welcome. Anyone who wants to stay with the old ways can do so. But we will no longer pretend that weakness is wisdom. 80 species joined the new Human-Velari Alliance within the first month. More came every week. The old Galactic Council's power began to crumble. On Earth, in the city of New Sol, a massive monument was being built. It would be the largest monument humans had ever constructed. Dr. Yuna Lee was in charge of the project. The monument showed 2 ships side by side, the New Dawn and the Gentle Passage. Between them, a human and a Velhari reached out to hold hands. Around the base, the names of every Velhari who had helped in the rescue were carved in stone. On the other side, the names of every human who had died defending the Velhari were written in gold. Above it all, words were carved in both human and Velhari language. We remember, always. Yuna stood looking at the monument as construction crews worked. She was thinking about a promise she had made to herself 50 years ago, when she was a little girl who had been saved by kind aliens. She had promised to find Seraph someday and say thank you properly. Today was that day. A small shuttle landed near the monument site. The door opened and a Velhari stepped out slowly. Seraph was old now, moving carefully on aged legs, but the large dark eyes were the same, still showing kindness and intelligence. Yuna walked toward Seraph, her heart beating fast. She had not seen this Velhari since she was 7 years old. Would Seraph remember her? "Hello, Seraph," Yuna said softly. The old Velhari looked at her. For a moment there was silence. Then Seraph made a gentle sound, almost like a song. "Little Yuna," Seraph said. "You grew up?" Yuna felt tears running down her face. "You remember me?" "Of course I remember," Seraph said. "You gave me a drawing. I've kept it all these years. It is one of my most precious possessions." They embraced carefully, human and Velhari, old friends meeting again after half a century. Around them, construction workers stopped to watch. Many were crying. "Thank you for saving my life," Yuna said. "Thank you for being kind to a scared little girl. Thank you for teaching me what real goodness looks like." "You needed help," Seraph said simply. "We gave it. That is what anyone should do. But most do not," Yuna said. "Most walk past others in need. Your people are special. You helped strangers when you had no reason to. And look what came from that one act of kindness. Look at all of this." She gestured to the monument, to the city, to the sky where human and Velhari ships patrolled together. One rescue 50 years ago had changed everything. Seraph looked around in wonder. "We never imagined this. We just wanted to help people who were dying. We did not think anyone would remember." "Humans always remember," Yuna said. "That is who we are. For better or worse, we never forget. Not kindness, not friendship, not debts we owe." Over the next week, Earth hosted a celebration unlike any before. Every Velhari who had been part of the original rescue was invited. They came old now, but still gentle and kind. Thousands of humans who had been on the New Dawn came to meet them again. Children now elderly, young adults now retired. All of them alive because of Velhari mercy. Captain Thalen, very old and moving with difficulty, was given the highest honor Earth could give, the title of Friend of Humanity. Only 3 beings had ever received this honor. Thalen stood on a stage before billions watching across human space, with old Captain Jinwoo Park beside him. Jinwoo was 95 now, frail but still sharp-minded. He had spent 50 years making sure humans remembered, making sure the story was taught, making sure Velhari Day was celebrated. He had kept his promise. "I told you we would never forget," Jinwoo said to Thalen. "I told you humanity would remember." "You did more than remember," Thalen said, his voice shaking with emotion. "You risked everything. You saved my entire species. We gave you air and spare parts. You gave us freedom and life. The debt is no longer ours to repay. Now we owe you." Jinwoo shook his head. "No, there is no debt between family. That is what we are now. Family. Forever." The monument was dedicated in a ceremony that brought millions to Earth and was broadcast to every human and Velhari world. Children from both species held hands around the base. Veterans of the battle stood at attention. Families of those who had died wept together, supported by Velhari friends. Admiral Sora Han spoke to the gathered crowds. Her voice was strong despite her injuries from the battle. 50 years ago, my species learned something important. We learned that kindness has power, that mercy matters, that one good deed can echo across decades and change the fate of worlds. The Velhari taught us this lesson, not with words but with actions. They saved us when we had nothing to offer. Today we honor that lesson. We honor them, and we promise that humanity will spend the next 1,000 years spreading this lesson to every corner of the galaxy. We will help others the way the Velhari helped us. We will show mercy to those in need. We will remember those who help us, and we will repay that help 1,000 times over. This is our oath. This is who we are. The galaxy was learning about humanity, learning that this young species had a strange and powerful trait. They formed emotional bonds that lasted forever. They remembered favors and repaid them. They protected friends with absolute determination. They honored promises even at great cost. Species began to understand what it meant to help a human. It meant gaining an ally for life. It meant having someone who would cross the galaxy to aid you. It meant never being alone again. At the same time, species learned what it meant to hurt someone humans cared about. The Kralith Dominion was gone, broken apart. Its leaders tried for crimes. Other aggressive empires looked at what had happened and thought carefully about their actions. A new saying spread through the stars. Befriend a human if you can, because they will never abandon you. Never threaten a human's friends because they will never forgive you. The human-Velhari alliance grew stronger. Humans brought military strength, industrial power, and relentless determination. Velhari brought wisdom, kindness, and centuries of diplomatic experience. Together, they were changing how the galaxy worked. Young Velhari joined human ships as engineers and medics. Young humans studied on Velhari worlds, learning their philosophy and culture. The two species became deeply intertwined, each making the other better. One day, Yuna took Seraph to visit a human school. They watched as a teacher told the story of the new dawn to a classroom full of children. The children listened with wide eyes as they learned about the Velhari rescue. After the lesson, the children gathered around Seraph, asking questions and wanting to touch the old Velhari's soft skin. They treated Seraph like a hero, because that is what they had been taught. The Velhari were heroes who had shown humanity the right way to live. Do you think we did the right thing? Seraph asked Yuna quietly as they watched the children play. We just helped people who needed it. We never wanted all of this attention, all of this change. Yuna smiled. You did exactly the right thing. You showed mercy when most would not. You helped strangers who could not help you back. You proved that kindness is not weakness. Yes, you changed the galaxy, but you changed it for the better. Your species is remarkable, Seraph said. Most species would have forgotten us in a few years, or maybe said thank you and moved on. But humans built monuments, changed your calendar, fought a war, changed galactic politics, all because we gave you some oxygen and spare parts. Because it was never just about oxygen and spare parts, Yuna said. It was about someone caring when we thought no one would. It was about strangers choosing to help us when we were dying. That meant everything. That changed how we see the universe. You gave us hope when we had none. How could we ever forget that? Back on the Velhari homeworld, young Velhari were learning about humans too. They learned that humans were emotional, passionate, loyal to an almost frightening degree. They learned that humans kept promises, remembered friends, and never abandoned those they cared about. The young Velhari wanted to be like humans in some ways. To have that strength, that determination, the old Velhari worried sometimes that their peaceful culture might be lost. But Captain Thalen, in his final days, said something that eased those fears. We have not lost our way, Thalen told the Velhari Council. We taught the humans about mercy. They taught us about strength. Together we are both better than we were alone.